Hello everyone and welcome to this month's edition of District Insider. I'm Fabian Shore, your host for this month here on location at Liberty High School. We're going to take a look at Mini-thon. We're going to also see what it's like to do a little bit of CSI investigation and go on a field trip with some fourth graders. Now let's take a look at what the great students of both Liberty and Freedom can do at our elementary schools, Mini-thon style.
We're raising money for the Four Diamonds Fund, and the Four Diamonds Fund benefits kids who are being treated at Hershey Medical Center, down in Hershey obviously, and they all have pediatric cancer. So what we're trying to do is raise money so that they can get better treatments, new research, trials, clinical trials, their gas is paid for, their hotel, their families are paid for, all that sort of thing. So we're raising money to fund the Four Diamonds.
Today we came out to a lot of the elementary schools for BASD Mini-thon. So this is where we meet with the elementary school kids and we give them a taste of what our 12-hour dance marathon is going to be like. And it's a really good way to get the entire community involved, and all the schools fundraise for us throughout the year. And the kids get really into it and they're super enthusiastic, and it's one of their favorite things. It's one of our favorite things to do all year long.
What is the name of the snowman in Frozen?
We really want our district to be involved in Mini-thon. We don't want it to just be the high schools. We really want kids of all ages to feel like they're a part of BASD Mini-thon. So we've come out to the high schools today to spread awareness and get them excited to be in Mini-thon when they're in high school.
The kids are always so enthusiastic and they're all smiles. They're always asking more about what pediatric cancer is and what we do in particular. And they just have fun with it, and they always seem to want to help us.
They're so excited to see, first of all, not only older kids, but older kids who are bringing them games and dancing and having a good time. And they're really excited. Yesterday I was at another school and they were like, can we come to Mini-thon? Can we come to Mini-thon? And unfortunately I had to say, you can't because you're not in high school. But it's really reassuring and really exciting for us to see that these kids are so excited about coming to Mini-thon and they want to do Mini-thon, and they leave and they're like, I can't wait to go to high school and do Mini-thon. And that's just awesome for us to hear.
Mini-thon students for both Liberty and Freedom are gearing up for their 12-hour dance on March 25th here at Liberty High School. Up next, on the first Wednesday evening of every month, Mr. Mays, the principal at Nitschmann Middle School, opens up his doors to alumni to take one glorious look back at their old alma mater.
The auditorium's still there. Yeah, the auditorium is still
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pete Mays. I'm the principal here at Nitschmann Middle School. Welcome. The current school has been in use for almost 100 years, since the late 1920s, when it opened first as an elementary school and then as a junior high school, and in the 1980s changed to be a middle school. The school's had lots of revisions and additions, 3 additions in fact over the last 100 years onto its existing building, and it's served children of West Bethlehem and Hanover Township during that entire time.
This is great,
isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
I wore these because you couldn't wear jeans back then.
Yeah, that's right.
The lion's tail.
Right there.
You had to look at the rules.
I was at Votech at Liberty. We couldn't wear jeans. We had
Well,
to wear
you
khakis,
couldn't.
but I was in the Votech
You had to
printing,
wear
but then I could
khakis?
change into jeans.
Okay.
The smells are the same, that the school itself has such a physical imprint on their memory. Alumni will often say, I remember I was sitting in that same seat when John F. Kennedy was killed, or I remember sitting here when the Challenger exploded. Middle schools are at a time often in children's lives when they're becoming as awakening adults, and they attach very strong world memories to the building. Teachers smoked, and it was still very common amongst teachers to smoke. They had an old smoking room in the old boiler room downstairs, and in fact, if you go all the way down 3 flights of stairs, you can see the old sofa where they would sit and smoke on, during that time. One thing that it still smells like smoke, and in fact, it's funny you said that because I had a group of lovely ladies here who went to school in the 70s, and right behind you there's a restroom, and a girls' restroom. And we were walking down, and they all stopped, and they were clustered by the door, and I go, what's going on? They said, do you mind if we go in the bathroom to smoke like we used to when we were kids? I was like, no, you can't smoke in the school anymore. But it's just, it's funny how this, and it's a story we talk about the school, it's a story, this building, think of the generations of children that have gone through this school since from 100 years. All of you, many of you, if not younger children and older families and people that aren't even alive anymore, maybe have gone to school here. And you think about how this building has had to stay in service for all those people. And we looked at, somebody said, well, this used to be the art room, and I thought this was the shop. This building, just like our own homes, have changed and grown and been remodeled over the years. And it's changed this whole area of town. It's created generations of children who have given back to the city. So when we built this new school, a lot of that was, we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that mystery and that dynamic. And so the staff has been working very hard at focusing on, not this door is important, but the people are important. Our relationships are important. Our alumni come back, they often talk about friendships. They talk about sports. They talk about school dances in the 1950s in the auditorium. They talk about teachers they were passionate about. It's the same way kids talk today. It allows people to have an opportunity to reconnect at their most vulnerable time in their life when they were 12, 13, 14 years old.
Dandy's on the end there, right? Dandy? That's Oren Bacher. Yes.
Oh my God. That's
yes, there.
Yeah, look at it.
Make sure you head out to Nitschmann the first Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. to take one last look. Speaking of history, let's go to Freemansburg to see what it is like to live in a canal town. The Foundation for Bethlehem Area School District has blessed us with the privilege to give fourth graders the opportunity to go and do just that.
The field trip is about the book, The Tales of Towpath, and part of that book, again, takes place at the Freemansburg Canal. And it goes back into this period of time when this little boy named Finn Gorman was, his father had a canal boat. And it's his story about this life on the canal and what it was like back then. And so the field trip, the kids get to experience everything Finn experienced. So they experience an herb garden and what it's like to, the herbs in the garden, they use them for food, they use them for dyes. They experience making sauerkraut. They experience harnessing a mule, which is what Finn had to do. He had to harness a mule. They experience digging for artifacts. They experience some of the other nature type things down at the canal.
They get to see the Lehigh Canal. They get to see a lock tender's house. They get to walk into a canal lock. These are all things that they're learning in the curriculum, and we bring it to life here with the help of trained docents, and the kids really get a lot of impact out of this field trip because of that.
I think it's important because the kids really get to see what canal life was like. It's one thing to read about it in a book, but they don't fully understand the importance children played back then, waking up at 3 a.m., not going to sleep until 10, getting the mule ready for the day, cooking on the boat. They realize when we're on the trip that life was very different back then. It wasn't go to school, come home, do homework, play some video games, go to bed. They were working 12, 14, sometimes 18 hours a day. And this makes them realize that they were really important to canal life.
I love this field trip because I get to learn about how they lived back then. I think life was hard for kids back then because they couldn't go to school and they had to work a lot.
Right above it. Opposite, the light source.
The biggest thing they take is that they come back and it makes the book alive for them. I think instead of just reading a book about history or something that happened a long time ago, now it's real for them. Now they get there, because they read the first 10 chapters before they go on the trip. So they already have a sense of the story, but now they go in and make it real. And they can come back and they can say, oh, this is it. I remember this from the story. So that's what they take away from it.
I'm sure they learned something, and it looks like they had a little bit of fun while doing it. Up next on the District Insider, when I say teamwork, work ethic, and leadership, do you think of kindergarten? Well, you should if you're a Bethlehem Area School District parent or student. Let's take a look at the Lehigh Valley's best kindergarten program.
A full-day kindergarten child in Bethlehem is an independent thinker, a leader, a great student. And that's what we start with kindergarten. Start from the ground, work our way up. Meeting their needs, whatever they may be, high, low, in between. Creating a good citizen, getting them ready to be out in the world, even though they're only 5 years old. Also creating a good friend, teaching them how to share. That's why we have tables. And they have to share their things with their friends at their tables and teaching them how to do that. Some kids don't ever have that experience coming into kindergarten. They're at home with their parents, or they're homeschooled, or they're on cyber school. So giving them that opportunity to be in an environment with 20 other kids and learn what it takes to be a good student.
Sit.
Sit.
Stretch it.
The Bethlehem Full-Day Kindergarten program is just amazing from the first day until the last. They become critical thinkers through problem solving. They become good citizens and they learn to be kind to each other. And they learn that when they are kind to others, that they get the kindness back towards them. Even at 5, they can develop a work ethic that involves working independently, but also it nurtures the collaboration and they love to work with each other. They become independent and confident as they perform their leadership roles and as they go throughout their routine during the day. I always smile at the end of the year knowing how far my students have come. It truly is remarkable to see the full-day kindergarten students in Bethlehem. They evolve over the course of a year in so many different ways.
Fun. Fun.
A full-day kindergarten student in Bethlehem is like a family member. I know that I can speak for all kindergarten teachers and say, we truly love these kids. We want them to succeed. We want them to be happy. We want them to be lifelong learners. These children are amazing. It's the things that they could do at 5 years old, 6 years old. It's incredible in the full-day setting. The key parts of a kindergarten day include our investigations curriculum, where the students use their critical thinking skills, their problem solving skills, and their teamwork skills to work together to solve problems.
I would recommend the kindergarten program in the Bethlehem Area School District to anybody. It really is solid. We feel like it was beyond beneficial. It laid down the foundation for what she's going to need. 2 months into school, she was reading by herself. She was doing math by herself. She was coming home with the idea that she needed to sit down and do her homework by herself. It was really what has propelled her to be the student that she is now in first grade. And without the full-day program, I don't think she would have been there. She would have just gotten bits and pieces of it, but it wouldn't have been as solid as it is. And that's exactly what it is. It was a solid program from the first day to the last day. And when we see it with now our second daughter. So it's been phenomenal.
Now, if you need any additional information pertaining to kindergarten, please don't hesitate to visit our website at basdschools.org. Up next, let's take a look what it's like to be in a crime scene lab. Ms. Chiafulio at Freedom High School can help us do just that.
Hi, my name is Amber Chiafulio and I'm from Freedom High School. I teach biology and today we're going to talk about what it's like to be a forensic biologist. A forensic biologist is basically a scientist that uses DNA in order to solve crime scenes. When we talk about your DNA, we're talking about the unique code that makes you, you, and me, me. It's a special sequence that encodes all of the proteins that are made in your body, and each person's is completely unique. Even so-called identical twins are going to have differences in their DNA code. So how can we see these differences? We're going to use a technique today called gel electrophoresis, which is going to allow us to visualize the differences in our DNA. So let's get started. So in this tube, we have our DNA sample. We took the DNA out of one cell and made billions and billions of copies so that we had enough that we would be able to visualize. The last thing that we did is we added something called restriction enzymes. What restriction enzymes are they're tiny little proteins that are going to cut the DNA at very specific locations. Since my DNA is different from your DNA, a restriction enzyme will cut at different locations for each person. Then we can visualize how these different cuts look when we run the gel. So let's get started. This tool right here is called a micropipette. Biologists use this to measure exact and very tiny amounts of volume of liquid. Okay. I'm going to put a disposable tip on the end, and I'm going to insert it into the liquid. And now I have my DNA sample. In front of me, this is called a gel chamber, and inside is our gel. This is the medium in which we will put our DNA samples and allow them to be visualized. So we're just going to pipette this sample into the well, like so. A little bit of spillover is okay, that's not a big problem. But as you can see, the little wells that are inside this gel have now been filled with our DNA sample. And what we would do is we would fill all of them with different DNA samples. Once we have our gel prepared and ready to go, we're going to hook it up to an electric current. The reason why this works is because DNA has a slight negative charge. So the negatively charged DNA fragments will be pulled towards the positive charge at the end here, because as we know, opposites attract. So after a certain amount of time, we're going to be able to see those DNA fragments moving down the gel, and the way they move and the number of fragments that are created will allow us to visualize the differences in our DNA. So now let's take a look at our results. Okay, so here we see the actual results of our gel. You'll see that we have multiple lanes or columns of DNA data, and in each lane we have a different DNA sample. First of all, some of you might be asking, why is the gel blue? Well, DNA is clear and the gel is clear, so in order to visualize the DNA fragments, we needed to stain it so that they showed up a darker blue color compared to the rest of the gel. When you look in each of the lanes, you should see what we call DNA bands. These represent the individual fragments that each DNA molecule was cut into. So if you see one lane that has 3 bands in it, that means that the DNA was cut twice, producing those 3 bands. When we look at our actual DNA sample, what we're going to be talking about is the control, which is going to make sure that our gel ran properly. And then we have our crime scene unknown DNA sample, as well as 5 possible suspects. So now it's your turn to be the forensic biologist. When looking at this crime scene data, can you see any suspect samples that are consistent with the crime scene data? Remember, look for the same size of fragments and the same number of fragments. Follow the pattern. Exactly, suspect 3. Okay, so now the job of the forensic biologist is complete. What we would do at this point is we would send our findings to the police, and then it's up to them to interrogate suspects and try the case in court. Although some popular TV shows today show our forensic biologists knocking down doors and arresting suspects, that's not really part of our job. The lab is the place where we belong. If any of this has been interesting to you, I hope that we see you in some of our high school elective classes. We do biotechnology, genetics, Project Lead the Way. The list goes on, where you can do interesting genetic engineering techniques like this. My name is Amber Trifulio, and I'm from Freedom High School, and I hope to see you in class.
Great job to all you detectives out there. Now let's look at some student-created work here at Liberty Broadcasting.
If I told you all the words I've had to say, would they matter, or would you simply turn and walk away if I hold you?
I'm Liam Mulligan. I'm in the Grenadier Band. I'm in the first company, orchestra, choir, a cappella, and theater.
Hi, I'm Michael Henriquez. I'm a senior at Liberty High School. I'm currently taking studio art and yearbook, and I've taken multiple classes of studio art.
I'm Mia Bongardino. I'm a senior. I'm involved in Liberty Theater, a cappella, choraleers, and I was a member of band for 2 years.
There's been many experiences in my life where I felt lost and kind of rejected and sad. And I've used my abilities with the piano to find a connection. For me, music means so much and has helped me through so many times where I just didn't feel like I could get back up. And I knew I had a passion for music. When the music didn't sound all together, I could pick out individual parts and I could feel the emotion intensity.
Ever since I was a little boy, I had like the art side of me, but it's something I never really paid attention towards. I just love art because when you walk into an art room, everyone is doing the same thing, but they're all tackling it at different perspectives and different angles. So it's really amazing how everyone can just take one thing and make it into their own. I came into high school my junior year and actually sat down and had Miss Landis or Miss Bacon lay a piece of canvas in front of me. Like, that's where I just let everything flow out. So it's always been in the back of my brain, but I really paid attention towards it in my last 2 years of high school.
I think I knew that I wanted to start performing. I had an opportunity in 4th grade to be in like a singing program, and as soon as I did that, I knew that I loved it. I love to perform because it's really cool to be able to get up in front of an audience and tell an entire another story that's like separate from your own story that like you're telling in your own life, and like to portray another personality and an entire another character is like super cool to be able to do. I think at Liberty we're so lucky to have the amount of arts programs that we do, and I think that there's always room for more recognition for the arts, but I think that we're very fortunate.
People don't appreciate art. They only appreciate it when it's seen right in front of their face, yet they don't notice that art is everywhere all around them.
Unlike many other groups and activities within the school, it's very difficult for us to receive recognition in the same light that groups such as like our athletic teams might get, because our work is more qualitative instead of quantitative.
The Liberty High School Grenadier Band has been fortunate to be invited to the anniversary of Pearl Harbor on 3 occasions. This past occasion, the 75th anniversary, was an opportunity that we couldn't pass up on. Taking over 299 students to Hawaii is a huge expense, but totally worth every penny. Taking students on a trip of this nature not only introduces them to new cultures, an experience of a lifetime, and the opportunity to share in one of the world's darkest days, an event that shaped the history of the United States of America. It's our job to offer opportunities like this to our students, and we'll help them to grow as individuals and as a group in total. The trip was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and my job as band director is to make sure that these experiences occur.
Monday morning, I had to be at Liberty at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was the most excited person in the world.
I remember feeling very anxious and excited and nervous.
Coming into the auditorium the day we left, I was really looking forward to enjoying everyone's company on the plane and just getting ready to perform and be the honor band on the trip.
Yeah, I was excited because then you're moving out of the cold Pennsylvania area into sunny Hawaii.
It was the first time that I was going on a plane flight that I was going to remember, and just the fact of going so far for so long without my family, it was the first time I'd done something like that. But it was definitely worth it in the end because it was really great to finally get to Hawaii.
You don't go to Hawaii every day, you know, it's a great experience to go there. I was just really excited and really tired at the same time, but Hawaii was coming, so I was real excited. As we were coming into Hawaii and descending, you could see the whole island. You could see the mountains, all the town below. It was really cool to see that.
I was kind of really overjoyed that we were finally on the ground after 11 and a half hours in the air.
Because there was a lot of nerves the entire flight, but once we got off the plane and I could feel that it wasn't freezing cold outside anymore, just knowing that we were in Hawaii and we were gonna pretty much start this adventure of a lifetime was really amazing.
So I'm here, I'm finally here. I waited forever to get on this trip, and I'm finally.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have. But don't worry, we will be back next month here on District Insider. I'm Fabian Shore, your host this month here at Liberty High School. See you next time.